Let me tell you something today. You are not always going to feel like doing what needs to be done. You're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to be inspired. But hear me loud and clear. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be determined. Success isn't built on feelings. It's built on discipline. It's built on sacrifice. It's built on showing up when nobody's watching and doing the work anyway. See, we live in a world that tells you to wait the perfect time. Wait until you're in the mood. Wait until it feels easy. That's nonsense. Winners don't wait. Winners don't hope. They grind. Let me break something down for you that most people don't want to hear. Motivation is a liar. It'll tell you, yeah, let's do it on Monday morning when the coffee's hot and your playlist bumping. But come Friday, or come that rough patch in the middle of your day when things ain't going right, that same motivation will vanish like it never existed. And if you're depending on it to carry you to the finish line, you're already in trouble. See, people think success comes from being hyped all the time. No, it don't work like that. Life ain't gonna give you energy on demand. There are days when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you feel like quitting. And those are the exact days when you've got to do the opposite of what you feel and do what you know. That's what discipline is. Discipline ain't glamorous. It's not sexy. It doesn't get a standing ovation. Nobody sees it. Nobody claps for it. But it's the thing that makes champions. You want to be great? You want to make something of yourself? Then stop waiting to feel like it. Get up and do it anyway. Let me tell you something. From life itself, you think I felt like showing up every day when I was struggling. You think I felt like smiling and performing when life was handing me L after L. No, man, I didn't feel like it, but I forced myself. You hear me? I forced myself to keep going because I knew that if I didn't, I was choosing to stay stuck. And I'll tell you right now, stuck is a place where dreams go to die. You have to train your mind to obey you, not your feelings, not your excuses, not your circumstances. That's discipline, that's control. And when you learn to control yourself, you can control your life. Now some of y'all say, well, I'm just waiting for the right mood to get started. Let me help you out. That mood ain't coming. It's not knocking at your door with a pep talk and a protein shake. You want progress? You better knock on its door, because progress don't follow feelings. It follows decisions, and decisions real ones. The kind that change your life are made when it's hard, not when it's easy. It's easy to show up when everything's going smooth, but discipline, that's what shows up when you don't want to. That's what whispers in your ear, get up. That's what tells you, you said you were going to do this, so do it. That's what says, finish what you started. And if you listen to that voice long enough, it gets louder than the one making excuses. Let me tell you this, motivation is a moment, but discipline is a mindset. Motivation fades, it dips when you hit traffic, or when someone lets you down, or when life hits you in the mouth. But discipline, that's muscle that don't flinch. That's what separates the people who almost make it from the ones who actually do. And I know what some of y'all are thinking, but I'm tired, but it's hard, but I've got stuff going on. You know what? So does everybody else who's trying to make it. You ain't the only one with problems. You ain't the only one with stress. The difference is some people push through it and some people sit in it. And the ones who push, they ain't waiting for inspiration. They're deciding to move anyway. That's why discipline is everything. Because when you've got it, you don't negotiate with yourself. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You already know the answer. It doesn't matter. You just do what you said you were going to do. And that level of personal accountability, that's where self-respect lives. That's where power lives. That's where freedom lives. Because here's the truth. When you practice discipline, you start realizing you can trust yourself. You're not just talking anymore, you're following through. And when you can trust yourself, you stop looking for permission. You stop waiting for someone to motivate you. You stop needing approval. You start moving different. You start thinking different. And more importantly, you start becoming different. The strongest version of you isn't the one who works when it's convenient. It's the one who works regardless. It's the version that wakes up early when it's tired. that keeps showing up when it's discouraged, that keeps swinging when the odds are stacked. Because that version don't need motivation. It's built on purpose, and purpose don't take days off. So you can keep waiting for motivation to come tap you on the shoulder. Or you can decide right now that you're done waiting, that you're going to force yourself to get it done. Not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because your future depends on it. And trust me when I say this, once you master that, there ain't nothing in this world you can't do. Now let me tell you something that might sting a little. You can either make progress or you can make excuses, but you can't do both. You hear what I'm saying? Excuses are comfortable. They sound smart. They give you something to say when you're not doing what you were supposed to do. But here's the cold truth. Excuses don't get results. Action does. See, we live in a world where everybody's got a reason for why they ain't further along. I'm too tired. I didn't have time. I don't know how. I wasn't in the mood. Sound familiar? Let me be real with you. That's the voice of your comfort zone trying to run your life. And if you keep listening to that voice, you'll still be in the same place 5 years from now telling the same story to whoever's still willing to listen. You know what's crazy? Most people know exactly what they need to do. They know what they should be working on. They know what habits they should break. They know what steps they should take. But instead of acting, they talk, they wait, they hesitate, they rationalize. And before they know it, the window of opportunity closes, and they're left sitting in regret, saying, man, I could have done more. Now don't get it twisted. Life is going to throw you curveballs. I'm not saying you won't have valid challenges, but let me ask you something. When have excuses ever moved you forward? When has an excuse ever changed your bank account? Ever fixed your health? Ever healed a relationship? It doesn't. All it does is buy you time to stay stuck. See, action, that's the separator. That's the game changer. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have it perfect, but you do have to move. You've got to take a step, even when you don't know what the second one looks like. Because the first step, that's what builds momentum. And momentum, my friend, is more powerful than motivation will ever be. Some of y'all are waiting to feel inspired before you move. You're saying, I'll start when I feel ready. Listen to me, you might be waiting forever. You can't build your future off of feeling. You build it off of decisions, off of courage, off of sweat. You build it by choosing to take action in spite of your feelings, not because of them. And let's talk real for a second. Sometimes we hide behind the idea of planning so we don't have to execute. We'll make vision boards, brainstorm, take notes, do research. Now don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with planning, but at some point you've got to move from planning to doing. If all you do is plan and prepare, but never act, you're just fooling yourself with pretty distraction. You think the most successful people always felt ready. You think they had every detail mapped out before they started. No, what they had was a willingness to act, a refusal to sit still. They saw something they wanted and they went after it, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was risky, even when it didn't make total sense at the time. And I promise you this, you'll never feel your way into greatness. You've got to move your way into it. You've got to do something about it. Because here's the truth. Action creates clarity. You want to know what works? Try something. You want to know what path to take? Start walking. But if all you ever do is sit and wait for the green light to show up in your soul, you'll miss the road altogether. You know what else action does? It separates the talkers from the doer. Everybody wants to talk about what they're going to do. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to start my business. I'm going to fix my life. And a year later, they're still going to do it. Meanwhile, somebody else with less talent, less resources, less support, but more hustle already did it, already moved, already grew. Not because they had everything figured out, but because they acted while the rest were making excuses. You've got to stop negotiating with yourselves. Stop asking for permission. Stop trying to feel perfect before you act. If it matters to you, really matters, you'll find a way, and if it doesn't, you'll find an excuse. That's the rule. It's not mean. It's not unfair. It's just the way life works. And I get it. It's scary to step into the unknown. It's uncomfortable to try and fail. But let me tell you something worse than failure. Regret. Regret is heavy. Regret is that voice at 2 a.m. that says, what if you had just tried? It's the pain of knowing you talked yourself out of something that could have changed your life. Don't do that to yourself. Don't rob your future because your present is scared. Don't let the comfort of today cost you the success of tomorrow. You've got everything it takes, but only if you're willing to act. Only if you're willing to stop telling stories and start telling the truth. And the truth is, you don't need a better plan. You need to stop making excuses and get to work. So whatever it is you've been putting off, whatever thing you keep saying you're going to do, when the time is right, forget all that. The time is now. The power is in the doing. Not the hoping, not the wishing, the doing. Even if it's messy, even if it's scary, even if it's small, do it anyway. Because the dream don't care about your excuses. The goal don't care how tired you are. Success is waiting on the other side of action, not explanation. Move now. Excuses don't win, actions do. Let me tell you something that most people run from. The successful people run toward discomfort. I know, nobody likes it. Nobody wakes up in the morning saying, man, I hope today is hard. But if you want to grow, if you want to rise, if you want to break through whatever wall standing in front of you, you're going to have to get real comfortable being uncomfortable. See, everybody wants the glory, but they don't want the grind. They want the results, but they don't want the resistance. But let me tell you something plain and simple. Progress requires discomfort. You can't stay the same and grow at the same time. One of them's got to give. Now here's where people get stuck. The moment something starts to feel tough, when it requires sacrifice, when it pushes them out of routine, when it forces them to face something about themselves, they back off. They tell themselves, well, maybe it's just not the right time, or maybe this ain't meant for me. Nah, that ain't what that means. It means you're standing at the edge of growth and you got a choice. Step into it or retreat and stay where you are. See, that discomfort, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're getting close to something that matters. That ache in your muscles, that strength being built, that confusion when you're learning something new, that's your brain expanding, that fear in your gut before you speak up. Take a risk or chase that dream. That's proof you're stretching beyond what's familiar, and that's where the change lives. Let me be real with you. Everything great that ever happened in my life came on the other side of something uncomfortable. And I mean everything. There were times I had to walk into rooms where nobody knew my name. I had to show up in spaces where I didn't feel qualified. Had to work jobs that broke me down just to keep a roof over my head. And every single time I wanted to quit, every time I felt like, man, this is too much. Those were the moments that shaped me, because I pushed through and I came out stronger than I went in. The truth is, you can't grow in ease. Comfort don't produce champions. Pressure does. You think diamonds form in soft places. No, it takes heat and pressure. That's what transforms coal into something valuable. And you ain't no different. That pressure you're feeling right now, that struggle, that challenge, that's shaping you. That's building something in you that comfort never could. But you gotta be willing to lean in. You gotta stop running from the hard stuff. Stop praying for life to be easier and start praying to get stronger. Start asking for the strength to carry the weight, not for the weight to disappear. Because if you can handle the pressure, you can handle the promotion. But the promotion never comes before the pressure. It comes because of it. Let me break it down even more. You ever been to the gym? You lift a weight and at first it feels okay. Then it starts burning. Your arms shake. You want to drop it. But your trainer, they say, give me 3 more. Why? Because those last 3, the painful ones, that's where the muscle is built. The same goes for your life. The reps that hurt the most build you the most. But here's the deal. You got to stay in it. You got to stay in the burn long enough to get the benefit. Most folks jump out the second it starts to sting. They want relief more than they want result. And that's why they stay stuck. Always starting over, always chasing comfort, never building the toughness it takes to go the distance. And don't get me wrong, discomfort doesn't mean reckless suffering. I ain't telling you to burn yourself out or stay in something toxic. I'm talking about the discomfort that comes from doing hard things with purpose, from having difficult conversations, from setting boundaries, from facing your fears, from holding yourself accountable, from showing up even when nobody's clapping. That kind of discomfort, that's holy ground. That's where transformation happens. You think anybody who made something of themselves did it by staying cozy? No, they risked, they stumbled, they failed. They walked into rooms where they didn't feel ready. They made decisions that scared them, but they did it anyway because they understood that greatness don't live in the comfort zone. It lives in the stretch, in the strain, in the uncomfortable places most people avoid. And I need you to understand something. You can do hard things. You were built for it. It's already in you. You've survived things you thought would break you. You've carried pain and pressure before. This right here, this is just another opportunity to grow. Another chance to become someone you've never been. But you gotta choose it. You gotta choose discomfort over delay, discipline over distraction, growth over ease. Every time you do, you level up. You become stronger, wiser, sharper. You gain something no shortcut can give you. Character. And character, that's what carries you when the lights are off and the crowd's gone. That's what shows up when life knocks you down. That's what wins in the long run. So stop playing it safe. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop praying for it to be easy and start preparing to get better. Whatever that thing is you've been avoiding, do it. Have the conversation. Take the step. Push through the doubt. Walk through the fear. Because everything you want, everything you've been dreaming about, it's waiting for you right on the other side of your discomfort. Step into it. That's where the growth lives. Let me tell you something people overlook way too often. You don't need to conquer the whole mountain in one day. You don't have to build the entire empire this week. You just need one win. One small solid win. Because those little victories, they add up. They build momentum. They start turning that doubt in your head into belief in your heart. And once you get that momentum rolling, it's hard to stop. See, people mess themselves up by focusing on the end too much. They get so caught up thinking about how far they still have to go that they freeze. They start to feel overwhelmed, like it's too much, like they're not ready, not qualified, not good enough. And when that doubt creeps in, they don't move. They stand still. But what they don't realize is, the secret ain't in getting it all done at once. The secret is doing something, anything. Taking a step, no matter how small, and using that step to build the next one. You know how many times I've stood at the bottom of a goal that felt way too big, a dream that seemed too far off? Plenty. And I'll be honest with you, those moments are intimidating. You don't always feel confident. You don't always feel like the person who can pull it off. But that's when you dig deep and say, I don't need to have it all figured out today. I just need to get one thing done, and you do it. Then the next day you do another. And before you know it, you're in motion. It's like this. Nobody runs a marathon by leaping to mile 20. They put one foot in front of the other. They breathe through mile 1, then mile 2. They keep showing up. That's the way progress works. One small win at a time. Maybe it's getting out of bed when you didn't want to. Maybe it's making that phone call you've been putting off. Maybe it's saying no to something you used to say yes to. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be done. That's the thing. Done is better than perfect. People get stuck waiting for the perfect idea, the perfect conditions, the perfect opportunity. Let me give you a little truth. Perfection ain't coming. You start where you are with what you've got and you do what you can. That's how you win. That's how you build momentum. You don't wait. You work. I've seen people with all the talent in the world get nowhere because they were waiting for the right time. And I've seen people with half the talent make it big because they kept stacking those small wins. Every day they chipped away. Every day they found a reason to keep going. And every day they built momentum. Brick by brick, eventually that wall that looked impossible to climb, it became the foundation they stood on. It's like pushing a car. When it's at a dead stop, it takes everything in you to get it moving. You lean into it, you dig your feet in, you grunt, you sweat. But once that car starts rolling, even just a little bit, it gets easier. That's what momentum feels like. It's hard at first, but once you get going, that movement feeds itself. And every small win, that's another push on the car. The problem is, too many people stop pushing before it starts rolling. They do one day, maybe two, and when they don't see the results right away, they say, what's the point? The point is, the win isn't in the result, it's in the consistent. The win is in proving to yourself that you can show up, that you can keep a promise to yourself, that you can be disciplined even when no one's watching. That's the real prize. Let me tell you something else. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And how do you build it? One small win at a time. Every time you show up and follow through, even if it's just a little bit, you're sending a message to yourself. I'm capable. I can do this. That message repeated enough turns into belief, and belief turns into power. See, you can't wait for a breakthrough to feel like you're making progress. You have to create the breakthrough, and it usually starts with something that looks so small it feels insignificant. But don't be fooled by how it looks. That little thing, that's the spark. That's the match that lights the fire. If you keep striking, it turns into a flame. Keep feeding it, it becomes a blaze. But it all starts with that tiny spark, a small win. Some days that small win might just be not quitting, might be choosing to hold on a little longer, might be finding the strength to keep your head up. Those moments matter. They count. Don't dismiss them just because they don't make headlines. Progress is still progress, even when it's quiet. And let me tell you something else about small wins. They teach you how to work, they build your rhythm, they teach you discipline, they train your focus, and before long you start setting bigger goals. Not because you magically got more talented, but because your belief grew, your momentum grew, and you stopped letting fear decide what's possible. So stop thinking you've got to do it all in one swing. You don't need to hit a home run every day. Just get on base. Just move forward. Just do something that puts you one step closer than you were yesterday. Stack those little wins, and soon enough, you'll look up and realize you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger, smarter, sharper, more disciplined, more determined. Why? Because you built that. One small win at a time. Start with one win today, and let that be the spark that changes everything.